Hey guys and girls, I'm James. Welcome to the channel. Today we are looking at the Exo Mini Pro. I've already looked at the Blackhawk 2 Pro, and part 2 of that is coming out soon where I go over the app, but today it's all about the Mini Pro. Why do they call it a Mini? Well, because it's sub 250 grams, which has made the DJI Mini2 so popular, which means you don't have to register it with the FAA, and if you live in Canada or the UK, then you know the benefits of staying under 250 grams. DJI has 74% of the market, and this is their most popular drone. This one has a lot more features than this one does. This one doesn't have obstacle avoidance. This one has obstacle avoidance in the front, rear, and on the bottom. This one doesn't have follow me. This one has follow me, orbit mode, all kinds of flight features, brushless motors, the long range of like 5 miles. But the main thing to me is Exo is based in Salt Lake City, Utah, so their customer service is fantastic. Exo had really good customer service and software, so they've combined the two. And other YouTubers that have had that have flown it and said this one's much better, because drone years are like dog years. 1 year later, there can be a lot more advancements in the technology. So the software in this one and the app is much better. So the US government doesn't care that DJIs are made in China. They just care that they're based in China and they have to share all their data with the government. Exo being based in Salt Lake City, Utah, they follow under US guidelines, and so when you fly your drone, your data is safe. Guys, I don't remember a company coming out with a line of drones that every YouTuber out there liked it. And a lot of them don't just like it, they love it. Even the YouTubers out there that love to hate drones just to get clickbait, they like this one. The only YouTuber out there that doesn't like it, he hadn't flown it and he's cutting them down. Because if he flew this thing, I think he would change his mind. It flies fantastic. The camera's really good. There's only a couple little hiccups that I don't like, but I'll go over those in the final review. Maybe it's something they can get worked out in the software. Guys, this one checks all the boxes. The 3-axis gimbal, a really good app. So I'm gonna go put it in the air. I'm gonna show you how great this camera is. I'll show you all the flight features, and then we'll come back for our final review. So let's go put her up in the air. And as you can hear in the background and probably see the plane flying, you're thinking I'm right next to an airport. I am next to an airport, but I did go to the Before You Fly app and I got my Lance through the FAA, which allows me to fly this drone legally up to 100 feet. But the Exo drones are not geo-fenced. And what that means, if you came out here with a DJI drone, and it would not take off until you got that Lance. But these drones do not have the capability of being locked down by the FAA because they are not geo-fenced. But don't get too excited. Starting in October of 2023, all drones will have to have remote ID, which means the FAA will know every drone that's in the air will have the capability of locking them all down if there's a no-fly zone or if it's in a restricted airspace. So the first thing I do is I take it out over water. That's a true test of the video transmission system and see if there's any latency or any glitching or anything. What latency is when you turn the drone to the right or to the left, or the video feed coming back to you. If there's a delay, it'll kind of get glitchy. But as you can see, it works flawlessly. The video feed is top notch. I mean, it's not quite as good as a camera, but for just looking at your app, it's fantastic. One thing I like about it is in this bottom right hand corner, it tells you the CPU temperature in Celsius. So right now it's 70, and that ring around the outside will start to turn red as it gets hotter. So it's about 92 out right now. It seems to do just fine, but when it's 100 degrees outside, that will get up closer to 100 degrees Celsius, and then it'll start to overheat because it doesn't have the fan like the Blackhawk 2 Pro, because there's just no way to fit it into this drone because it's under 250 grams. And the temperature ties into two very important things about this drone. One, the obstacle avoidance is not on when you take off. You've got to turn it on manually. And number two is the camera doesn't work until it takes off. And the reason is because it has internal storage. So when you get back, you've got to plug the drone into your device to get the video footage out. There's no SD card. And since you're going to be doing that, it keeps it from overheating. So there's no obstacle avoidance, and the camera isn't turned on while you're downloading all your information, because there's a lot going on inside this CPU and it would cause it to overheat. So those are two takeaways, but they're also pluses because that gives it internal storage and there's no way to lose your footage if your SD card malfunctions. And that haze in the background is not the camera. We actually get like a Sahara dust storm across Texas from the Sahara Desert about once a year. And that's what's happening in the background with that dust. So let me just say, when you go over your pre-start checklist with this drone, the compass calibrates very easily and it seems to find satellites really quickly, which is really nice because you can get it up in the air just in moments. So we head home to test two of my favorite features on this drone, the follow me and the active track. So here we're trying active track. So I got my buddy Lucas on his wheel and we found a spot where there's no golfers on the golf course. So once you open it up and you get it all set up, you trace your subject, make sure there's a lot of contrast. We'll get to that in a minute. And then it seems to do a really good job of staying locked on. If you go under trees and things like that, it can lose you. I mean, it's not the Skydio as far as the autonomous following, but it does a really good job. He's probably doing 17, 18 miles an hour right here. And I even get on my golf cart and I can't even keep up with him. So right here, we're not using obstacle avoidance because we're in a big wide open area, but even if you are using obstacle avoidance with this active track, be real careful for small branches and things like that. If you're going really fast, it takes a while for the obstacle avoidance to kick in because there's a lot of really nice drones in trash cans because people weren't using common sense. Also, be sure and learn to fly the drone before you start trying to use some of these features. Every drone seems to have its own little quirkiness. This app is different than DJI's and things like that, so become familiar with the drone before you start putting it through the test and testing all these features. And here I have to yell at him, Lucas, don't go on the green. Oh my gosh, if my neighbor saw that, I'd be in so much trouble. So, first time you start using active track, it's hard to trust that the drone is actually following you. You want to spend more time looking behind you than in front of you, so be careful. It's kind of like the first time you start flying FPV drones with the goggles on. You keep taking them off, like, is the drone really there? So just after a while, you'll start getting more and more trust that the drone is doing what it was intended to. So next we go to a different area, and I'm going to show you the difference of a high contrast versus a low contrast when it's on active track, because it doesn't work very well if there's a low contrast. So if you go somewhere and it's not working, this will show you why. So if you look, Lucas is wearing a white hat and a black shirt on blacktop. And so it kind of does a good job in the beginning, but it won't hold on to him when it goes across that exit sign. It loses him. So pre-plan, if you're going to be on a black surface, wear a white t-shirt or something that's going to have a bunch of contrast. That's why it was working so good at the golf course. And it's over 100 degrees outside, so if it stops and hovers too long, that line around the CPU will turn red and warn you that it's starting to overheat. So either fly it around or don't be a fool and be flying when it's over 100 degrees outside like we're doing. So if you're in this situation, no fear, you can use follow me. So active track locks into a subject and it follows it, but follow me follows the remote, which most people use anyway because it's just easier and you don't have to worry about it being locked into a subject. You just start follow me and then it will follow the remote. So the drone performs completely different in follow mode than active track. Active track, it stays locked into one subject, where follow mode, it's following the signal of the remote. So sometimes it kind of looks like it has a mind of its own, but it's just figuring out its bearings. I remember when I first started using the Skydio with the beacon, I would think, what is this drone doing? It seems like it's lost its signal, but it doesn't. It just takes a little bit longer for it to turn around and follow the subject, but it stays pretty well locked into that signal. It doesn't depend on contrast or anything like that. It's just depending on the signal from the remote. So here we do have obstacle avoidance turned on, but one good practice to do is before you take off, look around you. Look at the highest tree or the highest subject around you that you want to be above that. So that way you don't have to worry about looking at the drone constantly behind you to see if it's going to hit something. If you're wanting to get that closer in shot, then just make sure that the path that it's going to be following, there's no obstructions between you and the drone, just to keep it safe. I know it's got obstacle avoidance, but like I said before, there's too many good drones sitting in trash cans because they didn't use common sense about operating different features of a drone like this. And it's also a really good idea the first couple times you use this to have a VO, which is a visual observer, because you are the PIC, the pilot in command. It just gives you a lot more confidence and not have to worry about visually observing the drone the whole time that you're trying to go and learn how the drone reacts to different movements and things like this during these features. So these features are the hardest thing that a drone can learn how to do. I'll show you a little bit of the orbit mode and how the return to home works and everything, but if it can do these features, it can do those other ones with ease.
Yeah.
It did good.
That's really good.
Huh?
Yeah, it did good.
It followed you?
Yeah.
So what do you
Almost
think?
the whole time.
How fast do you think you were going?
I have no idea, like 13, 14
14?
miles.
Yeah.
So here I'm testing return to home, and I bring it all the way up to 400 feet. It also shows me how much it needs ND filters when it's really, really sunny outside and it's very bright. It does have a feature on return to home that it will look for a launch pad. That's really cool, but I just wanted to show you how close it can get without it. Missed it by that much. So next, we're going to test the obstacle avoidance, but this is also a really good test for a wind test. This was a couple days before with my son, so we take it outside on the balcony, and we put her up in the air. So check out that tree behind me. It is blowing like crazy. It's probably 20, 25 mile an hour winds blowing right in our face. So I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to try the obstacle avoidance. I actually try to grab it, and the optical flow sensors sometimes won't let you grab it. Once you hit return to home, it will just keep coming down and you can grab it. So here I'm going to put the obstacle avoidance to the test, and it almost runs right into me. Oh, it's turned off. Look. You got to turn it on. All right, let's try it again.
Oh, there he goes.
Obstacle avoidance is turned on. Oh yeah.
Won't even go towards you.
Really windy and really hot out. I think it'll hit me. Nope. I think it'll hit you.
That works pretty good.
So step number 1 of testing obstacle avoidance is turn obstacle avoidance on, unless you're trying to make a Facebook reel for a blooper or something. So any mini drone under 250 grams is going to be blown around a little bit in the wind, but this one has a wind rating of 5, which means it can really withstand 20 to 25 mile an hour winds with no problem. It's not quite as good as the Black Hawk 2 Pro, but Exo's done a really good job of building a very reliable drone. And the more you fly it, you start having confidence of sending it out and bringing it back. A lot of your prosumer drones, you just kind of have a fear when it's so windy outside, but the more you fly this, just the more you feel more comfortable, and you can do hand catches like that. So if you flip it upside down, it'll kill the motors.
Good.
So active track is a really cool feature of a drone, but my favorite of all is the orbit mode, and this one has the best one I've ever seen because you can speed it up, slow it down, and change the height while it's going. I do a lot of real estate photography for my realtors because I'm a roofing contractor, and when I go do a roof inspection, I just kind of always include it. So I'll always do this shot of a house, and they absolutely love it. You can't get this shot manually no matter how good you are. Again, check your surroundings around you when you're doing this orbit mode because it does not have side obstacle avoidance. It has it in the front, in the rear, and in the back, but not on the side. So be sure when it's flying sideways that you're not put in any kind of danger flying sideways. So here I'm going to do some low light filming, even over water. Even though it's starting to get dark, this looks really good. The camera has a very wide aperture which lets in a lot of light. So even though it's starting to get dark, it doesn't look like it. Here I'm panning to the left. It's got a 30 frame per second 4K camera. I even shake the camera here to show you that it pans really good with this camera. It's fantastic. So here I'm going to do some sport flying. I'm going to really put it through the paces. Of course, in sport mode, you do not have obstacle avoidance, and there's no latency in the drone. Earlier I talked about latency between the drone and the remote through the video feed. But what's even more important is the latency of the drone. I mean, when you're flying FPV, that's why so many people fly analog over digital, because there's that millisecond delay in the digital. I don't feel it, but I'm almost 60. I'm just having fun flying my drones. They, they're great for taking pictures, but drones are meant to have a lot of fun with too. And as your skill set improves, if you've got a good drone in your hand, you can have a lot of fun and put it through the paces. Again, there is no obstacle avoidance in sport flying, so be very, very careful. So next we're going to go in, I'm going to sit down and go over the drone, go over the remote and some of the features in the app, but I'm going to go deep in the app in another video to keep this video from being 30 minutes long. Because what's neat, the remote and the app on the Pro 2 are both the same, So if you learn one, you can learn both of them. So I'll make a video about that. I'm also going to make a video comparing the two. But if you're trying to decide between one or the other, which one would be best for you. So let's go inside and sit down and go over some of the features of the drone. All right, well, let's see what she weighs in at. She weighs in right at 249 grams, guys. So if you even have this little protector on the bottom, that's gonna push it over 250 grams, so you'd have to register it. I register everything anyway. It's only $5, and if you haven't registered and you lose your drone, then it's gonna have the information on it, you can recover it. So I don't know why people make such a fuss about registering their drones. Which is, you know, right in line with the DJI Mini. So the Black Hawk 2 Pro weighs in at 564. So approximately how much is 250 grams? Well, 250 grams is about the same weight as a 7-ounce can of chicken of the sea tuna. So on the drone, it's got the obstacle avoidance sensors in the front, in the rear, and on the bottom. And then it's got an optical flow sensor, and it's got a light. And here's your sensors. That is not an SD card. Kind of almost looks like that was meant to be an SD card slot, but it's only internal storage. You got to hook it up to get your video out, but it's a 1/1/3 sensor. All of these 249 gram drones, they kind of feel flimsy. So if you've never picked up a mini drone and you pick this one up, even when you pick up the mini, it does kind of feel the same. It kind of has that flimsy feel because they're trying to make it so weightless. So if you look at them, they're pretty much the same size. The only thing different is these legs fold this way and these fold straight in. And of course, you have to fold the front ones out first. And on the battery, slides in really easy. It is a 3000 milliwatt amp battery. Of course, they are brushless motors. Of course, it is a 3-axis gimbal, and it feels really solid. It looks like it's on a rubber band system, kind of like the first original Pro. Yeah, there's rubber bands in there. I can feel them. So kind of like the Maverick 1, it's got that rubber band system to hold it for stabilization. So what that does is it protects everything when it lands. So it's actually hitting this. I saw another YouTuber said they didn't like this. My goodness, how could you not like that it lands solidly on this? And of course the antennas are right here. So the antennas are in the front of the drone. That's what that wire is here. It's going to the antennas. So inside the bag, you get multiple connectors for different Androids, phones. Comes with a handy dandy screwdriver with a protector. Comes with a connector to get the information out of the drone. It comes with extra props. It comes with, these are extra knobs for the remote control. And I really like this charging hub that these slide on here. It's a lot better than the Black Hawk 2 Pro, I think. So these go on here, and the other Black Hawk 2 Pro actually has 7 different parts. So these slide on this, and you can connect it into the side. It has a USB where you can charge your remote at the same time. And the lights will tell you which one is charging it. Overall, it's a really nice bag. Has a really good feel to it. Comes with a nice handle and everything. Very well built bag. Everything fits in there really nicely. So when you do pull the drone out, you do have to, on the remote, it is a little bit hard to get these out of there the first couple of times, but once you get them out a few times, it gets a little bit easier. But you definitely need to take the joysticks off the gimbals and they go in here. Then on the remote, what's cool, it has the yaw. So it matters when you turn it on which way it's pointed. So if you have it pointed away from you when you want it to come back, if you lose connection, you can go to 180, and you can kind of get it back by going by the yaw. It shows you your height, your distance, and your speed. So to get your videos, with the drone turned on, connect it to your app, turn the drone on. Now hit gallery again, and look at that photo. My goodness, that's beautiful. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this review of the Exo Mini Pro. What do I think about it? Guys, I think it's a great drone. I really do. It's got a lot of features packed into such a small little drone that's under 249 grams. Does it beat the 800-pound gorilla in the room, DJI? Guys, I think it beats the Mini 2. I really do. With the obstacle avoidance, all the flight features, the follow me, this one doesn't have it. I think they fly the same, which is fantastic. If you just wanted to start making trucks, everyone's going to compare it to a Chevy. So the fact that they made a really good drone first time out is just amazing. Is it better than the Mini 3? I don't know. I don't have it yet. I was supposed to have it weeks ago, and it still keeps getting delayed. So I'll compare it to the Mini 3 when it comes out, but as of right now, I like this drone better than the Mini 2. There's some things about it in the beginning that really bothered me, but guys, anytime there's something's different, we don't like it, but the more you get used to it, then you start realizing, maybe that's why they did it. The camera isn't on until the drone takes off, and at first that really bothered me, but then you got to realize it's got internal storage, and this drone doesn't have a fan like the Black Hawk Pro, because there's just not room for it to keep it under 249 grams. So there's a lot of processors in this drone that will heat up really quick if you have the camera on with it sitting still. So since it's got internal storage and you got to have it sitting there to download the pictures, then that's the reason the camera doesn't come on. I wish there was a button in the app that you could turn the camera on and off. So when you're downloading the pictures, you could turn the camera off. But I like to have the camera on before it takes off. But I'm getting used to it. At first, I didn't like the internal storage. I'm just so used to pulling that SD card out and plopping it in my computer and downloading it. But there's nothing worse than getting out and doing a shoot and get back and something wasn't right. You didn't format the card or there's some kind of glitch in the system. With this, it's flawless. It does take a little bit longer to download from the drone to your device than it does with the SD card, but I'm getting used to it. I think this gimbal guard is kind of worthless to really put it on. I feel like I'm about to break the gimbal. So hopefully they get this worked out. Other than that, I think it's an amazing drone. I mean, hopefully the price comes down a little bit the more they start making them. Just like the Autel Nano Plus, they just dropped the price on that one. I think about $75, $100. Hopefully if they drop this one down, it'll even be closer to the price point of a lot of other drones out there. So a lot of people are saying this is the Hubsan. Guys, it's not the Hubsan. It's better than the Hubsan. Everyone that's flown this drone and has flown the Hubsan Mini says this is better. EXO went to Hubsan and had him build this drone, but they had him change some things on it. Also, Hubsan didn't have really good customer service, just like all the other manufacturers that are based out of China, where they're based in Salt Lake City, Utah. So that's a big plus for this drone. I didn't go over the app. The app is the same on the Black Hawk 2 Pro and this one. All the functions of it pretty much are really similar because they even have the same camera. So I'll make a separate video that goes over everything in the app because I didn't want this video to be an hour long. So guys, as always, if you got something out of this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.